Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of the Spurs Chat podcast, where, of course, Tottenham Hotspur have just beaten Leicester City at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium 6-2. Yes, 6-2. Heung-min Son rotated out of the starting 11 today. Antonio Conte made 4 changes from the starting 11. Kane, Dyer and Bentancur all on the score sheet before Heung-min Son came on to the pitch and then grabbed a hat-trick. A hat-trick in 13 minutes, I might add. Tottenham Hotspur are now up to second in the Premier League. We've played 7, we've won 5, we've drawn 2. We've got a goal difference of plus 11. We've got 17 points. Only goal difference separate us and the champions. Yes, there was some boos at half time, but Tottenham got over the line yet again, and we do remain unbeaten, as I said. And Heung-min Son, after the game, has just said, I'm getting emotional, to be honest. Amazing support. Now, before I introduce my very special guest to talk about today's game, if you don't subscribe to the channel as yet, please do hit that subscribe button. We have just passed 77,000 subscribers, so thank you so much for all of your support. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Now, let me introduce my 3 very special guests for this evening. We have got Richard Whitehead, MBE, back with us. Richard, how are you?
Yeah, you know what? I was thinking I was not going to watch any of the first half of the games ever again because we always play shit in the first half. But now it's awesome to be back. Winning is what we are doing now. Getting rid of that Spursy tag. Here we go.
Well, unbeaten going into the international break. I tell you what, every single Spurs fan, would have taken that. We've got Dan Gaze with us for the very first time on the channel. I know Dan is a big fan of this channel and he watches a lot. So, Dan, it's great to have you here. Of course, you were a 2020 Hotspur hero. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, I got a Hotspur Hero Award from Tottenham for my work with young people and through COVID. It was quite an honour to get it and a big write-up in the Spurs programme. And like I said, it was an honour to be recognised by my club, so I was buzzing from it. It was really, really good. Thanks, Chris, for mentioning that.
And thanks so much for coming on for the first time. We've also got Gareth McGuinness back with us, of course, football coach and founder of the 12th Man podcast. Gareth, great to have you back. How are you?
Really, really funny what Richard's is saying, because I have actually called the second half FC, because we do not start first half. That's crazy. If you go through my Twitter page, I keep saying second half FC, strike again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, delighted. Well, it's actually been a rough day because it was my first game with my own team today, and it wasn't. We got a draw, we didn't play well, so nothing was going to plan today. And then Spurs half time, I was fearing the worst, but then second half FC, strike again. So no, it was a better end of the day.
Absolutely. Right, let's get straight into it. Rich, let's start with you. Your thoughts on today's game?
Oh, it's interesting, isn't it? Lots of holes in the team in that first half. And then, obviously, Antonio changed it to just 2 up front. And we just looked a different team. And I think with commentary as well, I was listening to kind of what they were saying and then visually looking at the game. And I was going, there's so many holes in the midfield and we're just getting overrun. Just people coming into midfield, the 2 that we had. And I was saying, look, put somebody else in midfield. Come on, fill the gaps. And I think today, 2 up front was how we should have played from the start. I think Antonio saw that, obviously, after 55 minutes. And then the game transformed. We were just... I didn't think we'd lose. And I thought Leicester were a shit team. And I know they were saying, oh, yeah, first half, we played brilliant. But I didn't really see that. I just felt we gave them too much time on the ball. We were sloppy in possession in that first half again. And wing backs as well. I was like going, what's going on here? And then we went into that 2 up front. All of a sudden, the game changed. Game of 2 halves, like Gareth said.
Absolutely. I know it wasn't perfect, but it's another win. And as I said earlier, we remain...
You just like the 6 goals.
level on points with the champions Manchester City. Dan, let's come to you. Let's get your thoughts on today's game.
I remind him of the old Tottenham from 10 years ago. We'd get a goal against them, try and come back as the first half. And then the second half, I felt finally we'd come out of first gear, especially when Son. I've been waiting all season for us to come out of first gear. And finally, Son come on. He was obliterating everyone. Bentancur was on the score sheet. It just looked like things started kicking, I back that.
Gareth, let's come to you. Get your thoughts on today's game.
It's kind of like Richard said. It was like first half. It's a first half we've seen so many times this season. Like I was really frustrated at halftime because it's Leicester. The goals Leicester, the chances Leicester were giving us were criminal. Like at that level of football, they gifted us 2 or 3 goals today. But it was sort of the last 15 minutes of the second half. We were under so much pressure. But it seems to be a common theme, and it's going to come a point where, is it by design, or are we just getting lucky? But when you have players like Son on the bench, it can change a game.
Yeah,
but
I've always said, Gareth, the weapons that we've got on the bench are going to be key to us winning big games. I think
world class players won games. Big players affect big moments. And I mean, Leicester. I don't think Leicester were bad going forward. Leicester caused us a lot of problems. We made a very bad mistake for the goal, which I'm sure we'll talk about the first goal. But if we hadn't done the halftime 3 or 4-2 down, we couldn't have complained. But second half, I mean, I've been saying for weeks, it's very, very difficult to play 2 against 3 in midfield. You have to have 2 really, really top players to get away with it. Højbjerg and Bentancur are they're I mean, you can't question their effort, their commitment, their work rate, but quality wise, they're not world class midfielders. So what's happening in these games, and you have to understand that these teams are playing, they're not bad. There's very, very few teams that are poor in the Premier League. It's not like you're playing teams in Spain or Germany that you can get away with it. Bayern Munich are beating teams 8, 9, 10 some weeks. You rarely see massive scorelines in the Premier League. Granted, we won 6-2 today, but you don't see it too often. Man City won 3-0 today. They drew one each with Aston Villa a couple of weeks ago. So and they're supposedly the best team in the league. So our 2 against most teams 3, it's very, very difficult. But I've been crying out for weeks. We brought Basuma on today, and all of a sudden we got control of the game. And I think that's what needs to happen. There might be some games you'll get away with it, but for me at the minute, our wing backs don't give us enough. So I would rather play the 3 in midfield and let Kane and Son go up top, or Kane and Richarlison, and rotate it around. But the only question is, where does Kulusevski play in? Who I thought Kulusevski was really, really good today, but that's the problem Conte's got. So it's a nice problem they have, but the clear problem in these first halves where we're getting outnumbered, and against the better teams, it'll show. You can't play like that against Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea's, Arsenal's. You'll be out of the game.
Let's talk about the starting 11, because, of course, as I said earlier, Antonio Conte made 4 changes to the starting 11 that lost at Sporting on Tuesday in the Champions League. Sessegnon, Sanchez, Lenglet and Kulusevski all coming in. Emerson Royal, Romero, Davis and Son all dropping out. Now, I tweeted, the second I saw the team, I said, Son rotated, not dropped. I didn't use the word dropped. I know a lot of people replied and said, no, Chris, he's been dropped, but I prefer rotated, because personally for me, I didn't want to see Heung-min Son out of the team, because I think that Heung-min Son has scored that hat-trick today because of his quality, not because he's sitting on the bench. I know he's a real quality player, and we know that he can deliver. So the full starting 11, Hugo Lloris in goal, the back 3 of Sanchez, Dyer, Lenglet, the fullback Sessegnon, Perisic, in the centre of midfield, Bentancur and Højbjerg, and the forward 3 of Kulusevski, Kane and Richarlison. Subs, Forster, Romero, Tanganga, Royal, Doherty, Skip, Basuma, Brian Hill and Heung-min Son. Rich, let's start with you. What did you think when the team lineup came out? You surprised?
I was obviously a little bit surprised about Romero not being in the starting lineup, but I know obviously that possibly 30 minutes is what he had in his legs, and obviously Davinson Sanchez had a bit of a nightmare today, really. He was like, how could you give away a penalty? And then he fouled 3 times before he gave that penalty away. And then he hits the post to try and redeem himself, but he needed pulling off. He was like, I don't know what was wrong with him today. I've noticed over the last couple of weeks that when he played, he'd look more confident on the ball. But today, no chance. Like, literally, there was a mistake in him all the time. And as far as the other, players that came in, because obviously the Davis injury for one, and I think balanced, and we just didn't look too balanced. I think with obviously Perisic and Sessegnon playing. I think it was maybe a little bit of a trial and error today about trying to see if actually Sessegnon and Perisic could play in the same team and then maybe rotate through the game. But Sessegnon...
Personally, Richard, I didn't understand the change from left back to right. I couldn't get my head around that. I don't know why that happened. I'm not sure why he thought that could work.
And the first two goals were mistakes as well, really. Obviously, Ryan just kind of... That ball coming over, he should have cleared that. He should have been stronger on the ball. And obviously, Davinson Sanchez, he was... Yeah, I'm like... That was coming. That was back to the Serge Aurier days of when he goes in the box, he's going to give away a penalty.
Yeah. Gareth, were you surprised when you saw that starting 11, Heung-min Son benched?
I was very surprised because I'm a big fan of Conte as well, but he's so stubborn. He rarely changes. He's got his favourites. He's a type of manager, he picks his favourites. So I was surprised to see Sonny drop because he spoke so highly about him. I was very surprised to see Emerson drop.
You've used the word dropped.
well, rotated. But if he's rotated, why is he rotated when we've got an international break? I think he was dropped.
Well, can I ask you, do you think it is dropped or rotated?
No,
what term do you want to use?
I think it was dropped this week. I think if it had been midweek, I can see why. But we've international break coming up. We've no game for 2 weeks. I think he was dropped.
No, I think we were going to use him as an impact player off the bench, like he does Richarlison sometimes. I think it made Sonny kind of actually go, here's the game. The game's pivotal at the moment. Go and take it for us. And obviously he did. He's a world-class player. I just think the last couple of games, he was overthinking like the positional play. He was like, the ball was getting stuck under his feet. And yes, he had a couple of chances where it to come off the post or come off the bar.
He's been a bit unlucky too.
Yeah, today obviously came off the bench and he could have 4 or 5.
Gareth, you mentioned earlier that you mentioned earlier you didn't understand that Perisic was playing at right wing back. He's a player.
Sorry. I didn't understand why Sessegnon went to right wing back and then Perisic went to left wing back before halftime and then just after halftime. I couldn't get my head around that. I don't know why.
Right.
I don't know why. Because we've seen that last season. Wasn't it Matt Doherty and Brian Gill? Didn't they play right wing back and left wing back at one stage? I don't know why he did that or why he thought it would work. I don't know. Maybe he sees something in training. I don't know. But I didn't get that at all. He changed it then because he brought Emerson on. So,
Gareth, you probably know we have this conversation on this show every single week after every single game about who are the best right wing back, left wing back at the club. Who's your favourites? Who are the best in your opinion?
Well, you said maybe about Son being rotated. Was Emerson rotated as well?
No, I think he was dropped. What do you think?
Personally, I'd like to see Spence have a go. Like I would like to see Spence have a go. Don't get me wrong, I understand he's a young player, but from what I'm seeing of Doherty since he's been at Spurs, and Emerson, I don't think Emerson's bad defensively, but going forward he doesn't give you enough. I would like to see Spence given a run. But I think the problem you've got is it wasn't a Conte signing, it was a club signing from what I'm reading. So I don't think Conte's very loyal to certain players. We've seen that. I thought Basuma when he signed would be a guaranteed starter. He's not started. He's only started 1 game.
I think eventually he will do though. I think even tonight, like you said, when he came off, he was in that 3 in midfield.
He was awesome.
Yeah, he was at
it. See the last 15 minutes of that game, if it was a boxing match, it would have been stopped.
Yeah.
Spurs, they look like they'll score 7, 8, 9.
Yeah,
so
for
it
sure.
was
Vardy didn't get it, I think.
Rich, Gareth mentions Jed Spence there. Not even on the bench today. Are you surprised by that?
Yeah. And obviously Conte said about that Doherty's going to be ready after the international break as well, with having those extra 2 games. For me, I think Jed needs a little bit of confidence. He needs to be on the bench. I don't see the massive difference between him and Emerson Royale, to be honest. I think Jed's got the pace. He's definitely better at crossing the ball. Like even Emerson, when he first came on, he had one chance to cross the ball, And then he took a touch, and I'm going, fucking hell, just get the ball in. Like, first time, get the ball in.
Do you know what that is? Richard, do you know what that is? Do you know what that is when he takes a touch like that? It's a lack of confidence.
Yeah.
That's why he's taking an extra touch. It's a lack of confidence.
Yeah.
So,
Dan, let's come to you if you can hear us. Starting 11. And Antonio Conte made 4 changes. Were you surprised that Heung-min Son was on the bench today?
Firstly, now I know how Ramon Vega feels when he keeps cutting out on this show. But yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised to see Perisic at right back as well. I know he's versatile. He can play right or left. And I was surprised to see Romero benched. And I was also worried when I see Sanchez in the team. And probably as we chat, if you haven't covered it already, a few of the mistakes he made were quite controversial and schoolboyish. You know, you always talk to stay on your feet when you tackle, and they didn't. But yeah, I was a little bit worried about them changes that were in the team. And I think that showed a little bit in especially the first 15, 20, 25 minutes.
Gareth, let's come to you. Let's talk about the main game. Now, of course, we didn't get off to the perfect start. A penalty was awarded. The penalty was taken. It looked like Hugo Lloris had made a fantastic save. Penalty was then retaken. Penalty was then scored. Talk us through that moment. And, me inside the stadium, we get very little footage. We're told very little inside the stadium. Can you talk me through the penalty incident?
Well, when I seen him go on the ground, I said, "What are you doing?" And as soon as he made contact, it was a stonewall penalty. There's no argument. He caught him. It was a penalty. But I mean, I don't know why he thought he could do that. And this is the problem with Sanchez. We're talking about Son there. Like, class is permanent. We all knew Son would have his come back. The old Sanchez come back tonight. You can't trust him. For every 3 or 4 good games, he'll always have an absolute nightmare. And he was all over the issue. We're talking about since Romero come out of the team. See the Nottingham Forest game. I was at the West Ham game. We were absolutely dreadful at playing out of the back. Dreadful. As soon as Romero come back and against Fulham, we were a different team. I mean, it's so important for us. If we're going to play football out of the back, Romero needs to be playing. Langley needs to be playing. You know what I mean? Dyer beside Sanchez looks awful, and then as soon as Romero comes on, he looks a different player. So it's for me, Sanchez is never going to work. Don't get me wrong; he's not a bad backup. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah,
he can't be your starting right centre back. And you've seen it today. He dives in. He's reckless. I think it was a show last year, Chris. We were playing. I think it might have been Conte's second game. I can't even remember the team. They were like the lowest ranked team in Europe at the time, and they beat us. And Sanchez had an absolute disaster. I think you were at the game. It was a European Conference League. Mura, that was the one. He had he gave away 2 awful goals, and I mean that first goal, he was going to the byline. There was no need to dive in. No. And as Richard said, he had about 3 or 4 goals in him, and the last goal was right on the line, and that was a snowball penalty. But,
well, even Conte will tell you, Gareth, that we've come a long way since those days of Mura. We're now in the Champions League, and we're unbeaten in the Premier League going into an international break. So let's keep this positive tonight.
Of course. But that stat about Sanchez was never going to last.
I know.
No, like it was a penalty, and then to be honest, right, I thought it was a great save, the penalty. But as soon as I see one replay, he was off his line. Like there was no argument. But the only thing I would say is there's no consistency with that. I've seen our penalties that have the goalkeeper's done the same thing.
Yeah, especially in shootouts. They play shootouts they're all doing. But also it's because it's when the striking player that's striking the ball is the contact of the ball, where he was right over the ball when he made contact, and that was obviously when Hugo had. So I think what had happened is Hugo had anticipated that he'd already made contact, then he moved, but because he was right over the ball, he was slightly ahead of the game. So his first movement was forward, but it was only like probably 3 or 4 inches. Yeah, it was only a little bit. So a little bit of your foot has obviously got to be either on the line or.
I think one foot has to be on the line, and his 2 feet were off. Like so, if you look at it in the rules, it's a right decision. But as I said, I've seen that before, and that's not been given. So, but it almost seems with us, Chris, that we need a sucker punch, and then we'll go. And then as soon as we score, we like stand off, and then I don't know what it is. It's a strange one, like, but. We're winning games is the main thing, but it hasn't been pretty. Like even though like I didn't think that was a 6. Like a 6-2 wasn't really a true reflection of the game. But the last 20 minutes, we could have scored 6. It was a really, really strange game.
Yeah.
Can I just ask then, Gareth? Because there are a lot of people moaning inside the stadium, and I'll come on to it with the key incidents. But
sorry, I didn't see that. Obviously, we didn't hear that on the we heard a wee bit, but I just seen your Twitter at half time. You said it was boos. I'm
there
very
were boos at
surprised.
half time. Yeah.
Obviously, we didn't play well. The last 15 minutes of the first half, we were peppered, absolutely peppered. We couldn't string 2 passes together. Every time the ball went on the Richarlison or Kane, we lost it. Dyer was misplacing passes. Højbjerg was falling over. Bentancur was taking bad touches. The whole team was poor. And we needed halftime. So maybe that's where it came from.
I'll ask you all the same question. We'll go round. But, how do you feel as a Spurs fan right now? The fact that I keep saying, we're level on points with the champions Manchester City, sitting in second place. It's only goal difference separating us. A lot of people aren't happy with the type of football that we've been playing, but we are unbeaten. Rich, let's start with you. Do you feel happy as a Spurs fan right now? Because I keep saying on these shows week in, week out, when we get out of first gear, we're going to be frightening.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And I think we're going to get teams like Leicester. They're going to play like that, and then we're just going to turn them over in the second half. I think we're definitely missing something, and like I've said to you before about that kind of player that can just sit behind like Harry and Sonny and then kind of dictate the play. So that was a great audition for obviously Maddison today. So well done for that. See you in January. But I think for me, it's you kind of go with expectation of a little bit of anxiety. I'm like going, what are you going to actually? The first half of every game this season has not been great. But we've been winning the games. I think Conte's instilled this new grit, this new desire. They're obviously set up a lot better off the ball. But the problem is we're not playing very well when we've got possession. I think that's why the fans are getting a bit pissed. When we've got possession, we're giving it back far too easy. We've got the weapons on the bench that we asked for post-transfer deadline. We've got the players in the team that can be devastating. But we just need to play to our strengths a little bit better. Yeah.
Dan, what about you? What are your thoughts? How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, I'm buzzing, Chris, if I'm honest with you, because I'm seeing a massive change at Spurs. I've been a Spurs fan since '91, so I'm quite young, guys, just so you know, really. And it's been great to see. We've always been like a heartbreak Hotspur. We never get over that final hurdle. I was saying at the start before I got cut off, it usually takes a goal, or it used to take a goal for us to go 1-0 down to start playing. And that's what I'm starting to see, especially in the first half. You never know what you're going to get in the first half, but you do know after half-time, after Conte spoke to the team, you are going to get a team that's playing for their badge with passion and pride. And that's something we haven't seen in 2 years, since before since Poch left. So I am quite buzzing. I think it's going to take 2 more transfer windows to compete, even for that top 2. I do believe there will be an FA Cup this year and maybe 3rd position though. So I am quite hopeful.
Don't start, please. Don't
Sorry, Gareth. Gareth, you've got to be positive about this. This is the best place we've ever been in a long time. Through some dreadful managers, through some dreadful signings that we thought were going to, like Lo Celso, were going to be like our new Cam, and they were shocking. And now we look at our team, we've got competition for places. Conte's not scared to bring off the big players, give them a rest and bring them on. He's obviously given them confident boosters. Look how Son's come off the bench today and score a hat-trick. So I just think it's win-win. I just think, like you said, Chris, and I've been saying this as well, when it finally does click, and I felt it started to for the last 15 minutes, out of that first gear, someone's in trouble. And I hope it's on the 1st of October, if I'm honest with you.
We've got to take the real positives, though, Dan, haven't we? Because, like I said earlier, every Spurs fan would have taken us being unbeaten at this stage going into the international break. And as Roy Price writes on screen now, I honestly believe that we haven't clicked yet. But in the second half, I've seen green shoots of us starting to click. We've seen glimpses of us clicking. And as I keep saying, when it all does click into place, we can really bang the goals in and keep getting the points.
As Spurs fans, Chris, what more do we want? We're second. We're joint with the top leaders. We're winning games. Like we said, all right, the performances aren't great at times, but that's going to take time to settle the team anyway. We've got an international break in the World Cup. We won't know really where we're at till sort of January. And when we do, that's when I think we're going to say, right, this is where we're at. And I hope to be invited back on the show when that happens.
Absolutely. Gareth, come on, Gareth, give me some positivity about the 7 games in the Premier League so far.
Hey, you can't argue with what Dan's saying there. Like, you would, 100%, you would have took this at the start of the season. Arsenal have to win tomorrow to go above us. If Arsenal don't win, we're joint top in Man City, separated by a goal difference. I mean, after 7 games, who wouldn't have thought that? But it's just the fact that I think bar the Fulham game, and you can probably include the Champions League games in this. We've played 9 games, and I've seen one consistent 90-minute performance. That is a bit worrying. Like, look, it's great that we're winning games. We've got we've had this for years, Chris. Even under Mourinho, and even under Nuno for the short spell, we didn't play that well, but we could still win games. So I'm hoping this is just us playing second gear, third gear, and then we can just explode second half of the season. Because I mean, if you look at it, after the international break last year, we put 5 past Newcastle, 4 past Villa. I think we went on for the Brighton game. I think our last 9 games we were unbeaten towards the end of the season. So like, I have to the one thing I will say, there's a resilience about this Spurs team. We haven't lost many games. And we lost with Sporting Lisbon with 2 late goals, but league wise we haven't lost that many games since ever since Conte had that outburst against Burnley. After the Man City game. We've been pretty consistent in terms of our winning or drawing. But the difference this year is them draws have been turned into ones. Yeah. So I think only time will tell, Chris. Now, Arsenal to me are playing some great football. I hate to say it. So I think this is going to be a great test for us. But I have every confidence that we could go there and win. I think that'll be the big test after the international break.
We'll come on to that game later.
They've got their weaknesses too. There's no reason we can't go there and win. But we'll talk about it later, as you said. But getting back to what we are, for me, I'd just be a wee bit concerned we're not playing enough over the 90 minutes. But against the better teams, that's what I'm worried about. I mean, the Chelsea game, we were totally outplayed for 60 minutes and stayed in the game. But you know what?
We got the point.
Aye, exactly. But you know what? For years, we've outplayed our teams and not won games. So maybe it's time for us to maybe accept that this is the way you have to pick up points when you're not playing well. So only time will tell, Chris. It really will.
Well, I can't wait to ask you the questions at the end. Richard's no. Rich, let's come to you. Now, when I had Lee Chappie, who is a Leicester City YouTuber, on the channel yesterday, he said that Leicester's biggest problem all season is when they go and score a goal, literally a minute or two later, they concede a goal. And that is their biggest problem. It has been so far this season. Well, of course, it happened. 3 minutes later, Harry Kane equalised 1-1. Kulusevski with a great cross in. Harry Kane header. Rich, I don't know what it is about Leicester City, but Harry Kane just loves scoring against them.
Yeah, he's got 18, has it? Something like that. That's crazy. He's got 18. Leicester are flaky. That's their problem. They're useless. I'm just like, they sold the best players. And I think Brendan Rodgers is obviously he's trying to stay in his job at the moment, and that might change tomorrow. I think for me, Leicester, it was a game that we needed at this point before the international break, because it showed in that first half that there's still, like Gareth was saying, that we haven't got that consistency, but we've got the weapons. Like I said, I've always said that if we build those weapons on the bench and on the pitch, we can take down most of the teams in the Premier League, but consistency is going to be the key to obviously success this season. I think Leicester as a team, they're going to really struggle. How many teams are worse than them? Probably Forest, maybe Bournemouth down there as well. So I think Leicester are going to be fighting for relegation. We're just in a different league. I think I wasn't worried that we were going to lose today, but I just felt really kind of anxious after the first half performance.
It was a great time to hit Leicester. I think that'll be Rodgers' sack. I don't think he'll. So it was a great time to play Leicester.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Dan, let's come to you. Now, shortly after Harry Kane equalised for Tottenham, Eric Dyer put us 2-1 up. A fantastic Perisic corner, headed in by Eric Dyer. I'll tell you what a week it's been for Eric Dyer. We'll come on to talk about his England call-up later, but what a fantastic week for him.
Do you know what, Chris? I'll be honest with you. 2 seasons ago or a season and a half, I wanted Dyer gone. Like, he was on my list of 15 to get rid of when Mourinho was there. He's probably one of the most improved players, definitely in the back four. Brings a lot of stability to the back four alongside Romero. I love seeing him in the team sheet. You know, what a header that was as well. Just really good to see. And like you said, the England call up as well. So, and he's playing that long ball. It reminds me of, you know, when Toby used to play that long ball over the top sometimes for Kane. It seems to link very well. So I'm really, really happy with him for him to get a goal. On top of that, obviously, we have the new set piece guy. I've completely forgot his name, but he's obviously brought something to that team because we're scoring from set pieces and we look dangerous from set pieces today.
Gareth, let's come to you. In the 27th minute, we had the ball in the net again, but it got disallowed. It looked like Perisic, he put it in straight from the corner, but it was disallowed for a foul on Ward from Sanchez. What did you make of that incident? Should that goal have stood?
It was a really strange one because the referee had seemingly given the goal and then the Leicester players reacted and then he changed his mind. To me, it was soft. Their goalkeeper was absolutely dreadful. He made, in fairness, he made one good save against Sanchez, was a good save, but apart from that, he should have saved Son's hat trick. It was a fault for the set. He just come out in no man's land. But I've seen that goalkeeper over the last 7 or 8 weeks. He's been very, very poor. I think that's probably one of Leicester's big misses this season. Schmeichel's a massive loss though because he pulled them out of holes left, right, and centre. But I reckon he's probably the worst goalkeeper. He was absolutely dreadful. And as Richard said, I think Leicester's on for a tough season. But no, in terms of the goal, I thought it was soft. If Leicester had scored a goal and it was disallowed for us, I'd have probably thought we got away with one. It was just clumsy. Yeah, there's a slight arm, but the goalkeeper sort of commits himself and he doesn't get anywhere near the ball. And I think it ricocheted off a Leicester player and done it. But
because Sanchez was coming down,
it was soft.
Ward was coming up, so it kind of it was definitely soft. But obviously, it's a foul in the referee's eyes, and the keeper's always.
Right, I tell you what, Perisic's corners are a different level. They saw him, to tell you.
Yeah, definitely.
I didn't understand that when Son and Perisic were playing, that Son was taking the corners because like the Chelsea game, Perisic took the 2 corners that led to the goal. The first one was obviously the hair pull, and the second goal, but there were 2 bang in the middle. Son can't beat the first man from a corner, so I don't understand why Son was hitting the corners anyway.
Gareth, you working in coaching, what have you made of VAR and refereeing so far this season?
Don't talk to me. Do you know what? It's getting to the point now where no one complains anymore against because it's happening to every team week in, week out. There's 1 week a team gets a decision for them. There's another week a decision I think the best thing that happened to referees was the break last week because there was so much pressure on them prior to that. Because the week before, I think Dermot Gallagher, they'd done a referee special on Sky Sports News for like an hour because there was like 5 or 6 on the one weekend. I think last week the referees probably were happy that there was no football, and obviously this weekend there's so much attention elsewhere than football at the moment, rightly so, with what's happening in England. So I think after the international break, the heat will probably come back on. But I mean, it's getting to the point where they have to do something. I know Howard Webb's coming back now to replace, Riley. I think Howard Webb's coming on now in November or December time. He's taking over instead of what's his first name again? Riley. What? He's the referee in the Premier League.
Mike Riley.
Mike Riley. So he's getting replaced. So maybe now we'll get something. But I mean, I personally see the Sky Sports Ref Watch on a Monday. I absolutely love it because Stephen Warnock absolutely grills Dermot Gallagher. So I think personally for me, I would love to see an ex-pro one with the 2 referees just to give a different opinion because I don't think some of the referees understand the game because some of the decisions over the last few weeks, granted, some of them decisions have went for us, but I mean, some of them have been ridiculous that you don't really know what's going on. So I don't think they understand the game. So I think definitely going forward, you'll get more consistency if there's an ex-pro in there, but they're never going to do that. Like they're never going to do it.
Because I think sometimes they've obviously got the laws of the game, but there's still interpretation. So that's where it's kind of there's no consistency with that. And if obviously the VR team change, you've got the inconsistency of that, and that's what's really annoying the fans and the referees as well, because the referees aren't able to referee the whole game because certain decisions are kind of getting referred to the monitors. And
But Richard,
do you know what I thought was a big shame today? When Heung-min Son scored the hat-trick, and of course we had to wait for VAR, that stadium would have been so different today with his third goal, having not had all of the stopping for the checks. It would have been completely different. Obviously it's fantastic.
I watched the game. I watched the game live, and my initial reaction was he's onside. It was so clear to me it was onside. I looked at it once, it was onside. It was a really, really poor decision. And I think that's what the problem was. It wasn't tight. It was so clear. He was about 2 yards onside. One look at it and it was onside.
But guys, you can accept human error, and we always used to say, "Oh, ref gets a human error." But you've got so many cameras. You can zip things. You can put lines in. How are these mistakes happening? It's absolutely shocking, really. They're just not doing their job properly, and they need to be held accountable. It's not good enough. And like you said, Chris, I was sitting here buzzing. My phone was going off. Oh, it's not a goal. It is a goal. And obviously, you can't celebrate, can you? You don't know what to do. And then you celebrate, and everyone's texting you, it's offside, and you're deflated. It's doing my nutted, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, it is frustrating. And I think the VAR and referees have been very poor so far this season, and something needs to change, and it does need to improve. Rich, let's come to you. In the 29th minute, Leicester had a chance. Daka run clear. He shot straight at Hugo Lloris. Leicester did have a number of opportunities in that game, didn't they?
Yes, but so did we. When, and like Gareth was saying, that last 15 minutes, we could have 6 or 7 in the last 15 minutes. We were overrunning them, and yes, they had to obviously push on for the game. I think the midfield was a real key area in that first half, and just having the 2 players that were overran, and because of how we play with the 3 up top. And yes, Richarlison was trying to press the ball, but I think it was just the disconnect between the 2. I think if we'd have had another player within that formation that sat and helped the 2 midfielders, we'd have had a lot more possession. And then also, confidence-wise, the wing-backs would have been able to commit more. I think the problem was at that stage was that they were controlling the ball so well. The crowd was getting pissy as well. You could hear it through the TV screen. You could hear the sound of the crowd going, "What is going on here? We're at home, and Leicester kind of playing us off the park."
Conte was very animated down the touchline. He wasn't happy for most of that first half. Dan, let's come to you. In the 31st minute, Sessegnon played quite a fast ball to Harry Kane. It hit him, rebounded off. Richarlison tried an overhead kick, which was blocked. What did you make of Richarlison's performance today?
Do you know what, Chris? When we talk about us signing him, I was thinking, I don't really want him. I'm so glad we got him. He's a menace, isn't he? And he's a menace. I mean, he gets involved, he gets in holes. I think he's trying a bit too hard at times. And I think some things are not coming off, like these flicks and overhead kicks. And I think he has got goals in him. It's just going to, as we've seen in the Champions League, it's just going to take time to click. But how good is it to have him menacing up the top, pressing, putting that little bit of aggression in? He's an upgraded Demella in my eyes, I think. I just think he scores goals. So I like it.
And he stays fun.
And he stays fun.
I think he's better than that, Dan. Gareth, let's come to you. In the 34th minute, the ball fizzed past Tottenham's 6-yard box from a cross. A Leicester shot went close. One went over the bar. You could see that the Spurs fans, as Rich rightly said there, the Spurs fans were getting a bit aggy, not very happy with Leicester having so much of the ball. Another long-range shot from Leicester in the 38th minute. And then, of course, came the equaliser for 2-2 in the 41st minute. Cross came in. Maddison, what a finish. First time, hit it. Top goal, top corner. Hugo Lloris, no chance. What did you make of that goal that Maddison scored?
Well, it was a quality finish. I mean, you can't take anything away from the finish. Soft from Sessegnon again. I mean, he should never have lost that header. I mean, it was a mess before that in midfield. I can't remember what happened, but I just remember it was so messy. And then that 15 minutes before half time, we said 31st minute. So it was around 31st minute, by the half time whistle. We were all over the show. We couldn't string a pass together. We were under so much pressure against an average Leicester team, which is the problem. And we've seen it so many times this season. The Wolves game, dreadful. Didn't have a shot on target in the first half. Second half, absolutely battered them. Could have scored 5 or 6. Fulham game, brilliant to be fair. Battered them. Could have scored loads of goals. And the day against Summer, even though we scored 2 goals first half, it was poor. But second half again, we could have scored 6, 7. So it's like yin and yang, Chris. The minute we're hot and cold, Tottenham Hotspur, and it's there's so much potential there. That's the frustrating thing. Not so much that like I don't think we're a bad side. I think we're playing within ourselves at times. And then once we get a rocket at half time from Conte, or once he brings a sub on, all of a sudden it goes from 1 out of 10 to 10 out of 10. And like as I said, if that last 10 minutes, Leicester were on the floor. It was a boxing match, would have been stopped. It was just constant. As soon as we played, and we were playing, the same thing happened against Wolves. Second half against Wolves, I thought we were unbelievable. We were playing 1 and 2 touch football. First half of the day, first half of our games, we're taking 4 or 5 touches. We're playing slow out of the back. We're hitting it long. It's so strange. I don't know. Like Conte's probably tearing his hair out because he's obviously not doing this by design. Surely he's not. He's not sending the team out to play this way first half and then second half. But I don't know what it is at the moment. We're so up and down. You don't know what to expect. Even today, I was confident we were going to beat Leicester, and I even said if we get to half time here 2-2, I fancy a second half to come out and 1-3 or 4-2. But you can't play as he's seen in the Champions League the other night. And like the first game against Marseille, that was tight. That was a really tight game, and they got that red card. If they didn't get that red card, that could have been even tighter. So, against the better teams and the better opposition, you got to be playing for more than 45 minutes. And that 15 minutes before half time scares me. It scares me going forward because if we have a 15 minutes like that against Arsenal, we could be 3-0 down and it's game over.
I think wing backs hasn't really worked for Conte with the players that we've got in the team so far.
No, obviously, Richard, I agree. Conte's system's all about wing backs, but we haven't got the quality. We haven't got the quality there. We don't like our qualities up front. Our qualities are front free, and I think personally, like I know he probably won't do it, but I'd love to see in the day Kane, Son, Richarlison, and Kulusevski in the team because Leicester are awful at the back. 6 today, they conceded against us, 5 against Brighton, 4 against Arsenal. They can't stop conceding goals.
What do you think it is, Rich, about this fixture, Spurs-Leicester? There is always drama. There is always so many goals. Over the years in the Premier League, like mental scoreline, 6-2 today. Who would have predicted it?
Yeah, no, well, I don't know, but we spoke about before, haven't we, that at some point a team's going to get a real hiding from us. And it was in the second half today. It was the first half was just, I think, consistency is key. We haven't got that at the moment. Maybe confidence in the system. Again, we haven't got that at the moment because the wing backs that we've got are average, apart from Perisic, and that is the problem. If you're saying that you're wanting to kind of push up the league from 4th to 3rd, 2nd, or however you think the team should finish, but we haven't got wing backs that enable us to finish in those positions. That's why we still need to upgrade. And obviously, Conte didn't get the players that he wanted in those positions. And we're probably still that midfielder light. But we've done so well with, obviously, the first 7 games. You look at, obviously, expectation. Yes, we were going to push on. But would you have thought that we haven't lost a game, we've drawn 2, and we've won the rest. And we're starting to show some of that stardust that obviously Conte is sprinkling over the team. And actually, when we were going through the gears and Sonny's obviously going through the middle, which I think is key for us, when Sonny goes through the middle, terrifying. Like no centre back wants to be against Sonny one-on-one. Just is so quick. When he's confident, it's left and right foot. He's not head down, he's head up. He's not even looking at the ball when he's dribbling with it. Frightening. So when his confidence gets back, and obviously today's really built on that, yeah, we will be frightening, but there's still pieces of the jigsaw we need to add.
Rich, do you think that it's because the right and left back, the positions for the competition for them places, the players are just average? So if you look at all the other positions, everyone's good or on the level of being excellent or world class. But the right and left back, everyone's just average, or we've got youngsters coming in that we're not even sure about yet.
Yeah, for sure. And Perisic is obviously a lot better going forwards. Obviously, quality from his crossing is unbelievable, and I think that's definitely better in the system that we're playing at the moment. It's just defensively. I think also if we play 5 across the midfield, if those so-called wing backs or whoever goes into that 5 move forwards, then Benzink or Højbjerg can drop in and obviously help kind of defend a little bit. But I think, the wing backs just, for me, I just look at them and go, is Doherty like a top 3 right back? You know what I mean? No. I'd have got rid of him in the summer, to be honest. Yeah. And even Emerson, I'm like, I'm every week I moan about him. I go, he's just not good enough. Not good enough for me. If you've got aspirations to be second in the league, he isn't anywhere near the team.
I think Emerson's playing because he's defensive. He's not
a
bad.
And he's quick.
I don't think he's. But on the ball going forward, he's not at the level. The problem with Spence is if Spence isn't going to play, because like after the result in the Champions League, all right, it's going to be hard work. We're not going to get to the 5th or 6th game, I don't think, and we're going to be qualified. We're going to have to go right to the end now because we want to finish first in the Champions League group. So we're probably going to have to win the other 4 games. The League Cup, we're playing Forest away. That's not going to be an easy game. So where's Spence going to play? If he's not going to play, it'd be better going to
Forest.
But even at that, if he plays 1 game there or 1 game in the FA Cup, it'd been better going out and loan because he's sitting on the bench all year. This is the problem you have. Same with Brian Gill. He's been left to stay here. If he's not going to play, like it's obvious, Conte won't play him because he probably doesn't trust him, and he's not physical enough probably for the Premier League. So he's well let him go. I know there's obviously a point where we might get injuries, but we've got 3 right wing backs. So I think Spence needs both of them to get injured to play. So I think that's highly unlikely. And even at that, it wouldn't surprise me if he played Perisic there and then switch somebody to left back. So I think he's probably 4th choice right wing back. And that's disappointing because I mean I like the look of Spence. I think he could be a top player.
Yeah.
He needs nurturing though, don't he? So that's the problem. And that's what worries me. I think Sessegnon's the same. They both need nurturing. And me and Chris were under 21s, Chris under 23s, whatever it's called, the other week.
21.
We're both saying we missed the reserves, where they could have gone out and got the regular games at the reserves because that's what's needed for Brian Gill, and people like that to be kicked a little bit and then to come back and sort of build themselves up and their confidence. Because sitting on the bench doing nothing, not getting a game any minutes is doing their confidence no good at all. Or for going on for
Spence, do you not think Spencer's ready though? Like he terrorized teams in the FA Cup last year. He's big, strong, physical. He come on against Nottingham Forest, and there was one moment he absolutely exploded through the middle of the pitch. And I think the pass went. I think it was Richarlison. He played it the wrong way. Like he looks like he could handle it.
If he was ready, Gareth, then Conte would put him in the squad. So he's clearly not.
I don't know. I just think Conte trusts certain players over ours.
But we all would. We all do. We all do that as fans, don't we?
But so is Basuma not ready? Because he's not been playing either. I think
But we as fans don't see what Antonio Conte or whoever is the manager, we don't see the training. We don't see what they're being told and what's expected of them. And are they delivering? Because, what I think is so interesting is Antonio Conte on the touchline. He is literally trying to pass that ball, trying to instruct every single player to do exactly what he wants. It's like he's playing a game of saying, look, you go there, then there, then there, then there. And he wants them to follow exactly what he is saying.
That's why it's so good, right?
That's why it's
conducting the team. That's why.
He feels he has to do that because he doesn't trust certain players. Because if he was totally confident in them, it would be. See, Pep sits there most of the game because he's got the players are doing exactly what he wants. Where I think Conte, he feels he has to keep them on their toes, so he doesn't fully trust them to carry out their duties.
I think there's some managers that perhaps would give more chances to players than others, and I think that Conte is clearly a manager that wants to win now. He doesn't want to, win in 6 months' time. He wants to win now, and that is very evident with what we've seen, in the Premier League table, with us being joint top with Manchester City, although we haven't even played well yet. And that's why I think that we've got the exciting times coming up this season, and hopefully we can achieve something.
Of course.
Dan, let's come. We'll come back to you in a minute, Gareth. Dan, let's come to you. In the 43rd minute, we hit the crossbar. A minute later, Leicester City had another chance. Then, as I said earlier, at half-time, we went in 2-2. A few boos from the Tottenham Hotspur fans. There were some fans very unhappy with our performance. Leicester had a few chances, but of course, 2 minutes after the break, in the 47th minute, Bentancur picking up the ball. Great finish from him. His first Tottenham Hotspur goal. What did you make of Bentancur's performance today, and what have you made of him overall since signing him back in January?
Do you know what, Chris? I'm not going to lie to you. When we first signed Kulusevski and Bentancur, I didn't have a clue who they were. My boy Maddox, he went and found them on FIFA and showed me who they were. And so I was like, thanks, and having a look. But do you know what? They've been the making of us. They brought so much change. Bentancur reminds me of a better. Do you remember Adel Tabat? I think I'm saying his name right. Went to QPR. It reminds me of a better him. And I think, this is my opinion, I've slated on Twitter a few times for this. I think you should play him as the cam role, because that guy can find a pass. He can pass through the eye of a needle. He breaks up play and passes so well. It's great to see him get a goal today. And I just think he is a player that we need at Spurs. He just does. Do you remember like Dembele used to just move the ball slow and then just skill it round people? You think, how the hell did you just do that? Well, that's what he does. Everything seems so casual. Everything seems so relaxed. And I just really rate him as a player. And he's missed when he's not playing, he isn't.
Gareth, let's come to you. In the 50th minute, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg teed up Harry Kane, shot over the bar. 5 minutes later, Emerson Royal come on for Ivan Perisic. What did you make of that change?
Did you see that comment? The change was he brought Højbjerg, he brought Basuma on, wasn't it, for Kulusevski? What was the change again, Chris?
It was Emerson Royal on. This was the first change in the 55th minute. Emerson Royal on, Perisic off.
I think that was rotation, just Chris.
Fair enough. Let's move on.
I think we were going on about Emerson there. I think the frustration why I'm above frustrated Spence isn't playing is because I don't think Emerson's doing that well. It's not like I'm saying Scarlett should be playing when we've got Harry Kane and so on. That's sort of where I'm getting away.
Let me just ask you, Gareth, because in the press conference a couple of days ago, Antonio Conte was asked about Emerson Royal. And a lot of fans are very frustrated with his performances, particularly at Sporting on Tuesday. Antonio Conte even said, I think he's improved. I like him. He could have scored 3 goals on Tuesday. What have you made of Emerson Royal? Do you think he has improved since last season?
Definitely improved, but Conte does what every manager would do. He's backing his player on the media. I guarantee he's having a different conversation behind a closed door, because it's obvious your eyes don't lie. But if Conte had to come out and says, totally agree, he's been terrible, you lose the player right away. You lose him. And you risk the friction and change him, because Emerson's close with Richarlison, he's close with Lucas Moura. So he's being smart and he's using his experience there 100%. I mean, when I read that, I knew right away what he was doing. I don't think he believes that he's doing that. He's definitely improved 100%. From the player we've seen under Nuno now, he's definitely improved. I think defensively he does a job for you. Definitely. I don't really think. I think defensively out of him and Doherty, it's night and day. He's a far better defender than Doherty. I think even Perisic today, Perisic was decent, but defensively as well, he's more of an attacking player. So I think that's why Conte trusts him, because he can do a job defensively. I think that's why he plays so much. But as you say, it might have been a bit of rotation today. Maybe he was trying something different with Perisic at right wing back. And Sessegnon at left wing back, but then he switched them over before halftime and after halftime. So sometimes you with Conte, you just don't know what you're going to get. He does do these things from time to time, and you wonder why. But whilst the team wins, it'll the most important thing of first team football is one of matches. Performances are secondary. If Spurs play like this all season and won every game, no one will care. No one will care, and that's the way it is. But no, the change. I thought today the changes were good. I thought every change was positive. And I even seen when people were saying about Basuma coming on and Kulusevski coming off, I think that was more of a tactical, they get control of the game. And I brought the best of Son for that. I mean, Son was absolutely excellent, and Kane and Son playing together has worked for a long time. And the fact they were playing as a two, they were so close together.
Well, we're nearly an hour in. We've not even mentioned Heung-min Son's goals yet. Rich, very quickly, let's talk a little bit about Hugo Lloris, because I think he has been in superb form these last couple of games. I know, obviously, we lost in the Champions League on Tuesday, but he made a number of fantastic saves on Tuesday night in the Champions League. But in the 58th minute, Daka header towards goal, Hugo Lloris with a great save. He's been in fine form, hasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, somebody that takes that captain's armband really seriously, leading from, obviously, with his performance is key. And also that resilient side of the team as well. I think he's demanding that from the back. I think his distribution's been better this season. And obviously shot stopping is world class, clearly. And also consistent. I'm touching wood here, and we've not actually had a wicket this season, which is great. Where some keepers have had a couple of wickets, which has affected their confidence. I think Hugo's starting to feel a little bit more confident with the three in front of him. I think Sanchez, when he's out of the team, it's more consistent, especially on the ball. I think when Sanchez has got the ball, it seems to come back to him a lot more often, and in more tricky situations where I think Romero, Dyer definitely are controlling the back three. Hugo's clearly committed to the venture, and he wants to be part of the success of Spurs moving forwards.
Well, in the 59th minute, Romero and Son come on. Sanchez and Richarlison went off. Heung-min Son obviously got a big round of applause from everybody at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Everybody wanted to see him. A minute later, Leicester went close again. In the 69th minute, Harvey Barnes a header over the bar from a cross. A minute later, Basuma come on. Kulusevski went off. And then in the 73rd minute, Dan, let's come to you. Heung-min Son scored his first goal of the season. Talk us through this goal, because I tell you what, Heung-min Son, his finishing today I thought was absolutely superb. And it was just such a wonderful moment. It was like a sigh of relief for every fan. I even jumped. I don't normally jump the way I did today, but I tell you what, I jumped out of my seat when Heung-min Son got that first goal for him and Tottenham's fourth. An unbelievable moment for our South Korean star.
Well, Chris, I'm not going to lie, I was on the toilet when we scored, so I'm not going to lie. I had some dodgy, before Gary puts it, I had some dodgy of them McSpicy chicken nuggets the other night. And I went upstairs and my boy went mad, and I was like, "What's up?" And he showed me it on video, thank God. And but I mean, one thing I would say, Sonny. I mean, I would never see Sonny as an impact player, and I never thought he'd be dropped from Spurs. But I think it's done him the world of good to get dropped, pushed back in the team, and it's just showing his confidence come through to say, "I've still got it. Here I am." What a strike, world class. To be fair, every goal he scored was world class today, wasn't it? Top draw. Like, I was just looking in amazement at him, and he was smiling the whole time, and that smile hasn't lost my face or like since the end of that game, because he just come on and just showed how classy he was, wasn't he?
It's funny, actually, because inside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, as I mentioned a couple of times already, at half-time there were some fans booing, very unhappy about our performance. And then when we went 4-2 up, Heung-min Son obviously got his first goal of the season, Tottenham's fourth. 3 minutes later, that is when all of the Spurs crowd was singing Antonio. So it was like a complete contrast of moods and people's feelings between the club and the team.
Chris,
3 minutes later,
we couldn't hear. I didn't hear the boos on the TV. They must have drowned them out a little bit, because I couldn't really hear the boos on the TV at half time. But I did hear the Antonio's chanting after Sonny's goal.
Yeah. It's a lovely moment, because the fans absolutely love Antonio. In the 79th minute, excellent work from Harry Kane. Bentancur shot, saved by the goalkeeper. A minute later, Heung-min Son to Romero. Missed from like yards out. Gareth, how on earth did Christian Romero miss?
I don't know. Like, I was just happy it was offside from him, because it was I think he put his shirt over his head because he couldn't believe he missed it. But that Romero is an absolute animal. He when he come on, we looked so secure at the back again. Like, you were like, we talk about important players in the team. I think he's right up there. If he is playing, we're a far better team. We can play to the back. 1v1. I know he had that mistake against Mitrovic, but for 80 minutes, Mitrovic never had a snuff. He's been terrorizing teams this year. He terrorized Van Dijk. I have no doubt Haaland's unbelievable. But if there's any centre back I would have up that can stop him, it will be him. So I just hoping we play Man City, Romero's fit. Otherwise, Davidson Sanchez is going to be pulled apart. But we'll talk about that in already. But they must, to be honest, it's irrelevant now. But look, I would rather away was up there. I'm not sure why he was up there. It was like centre forward at the time. But I would if he misses one a week like that there, and we keep clean sheets, I'll be happy because he is a top defender. Ireland, I mean, the team lineup was the only one I was disappointed with.
Yeah,
you couldn't argue we saw him being rotated. But
that's rotated, definitely.
Definitely rotated, and Emerson being rotated, obviously. But Romero, obviously, he's not. He just come back from an injury. You're just hoping Romero. No, I mean, I don't know. Has he been announced in the Argentina squad? I really hope he doesn't go to Argentina because he's definitely not fully fit, or he would have played today.
It's funny, isn't it? No Spurs fans ever want a lot of the players to go off on international duty to get injured because we want to keep them in cotton wool, especially because the North London derby is our next Premier League game. Gareth, let's stay with you. In the 84th minute, Heung-min Son got his second and Tottenham's fifth. What a goal this was, and this time assisted by Harry Kane. And talk me through the goal, and also talk me through your favourite goals from Heung-min Son, because I tell you what, this guy. He seems to deliver all of the time. I know he's had a quite difficult start to this season, but 3 goals today. He is up and running again, and I know we'll talk about the Arsenal game shortly, but surely he will be in the starting 11 for that one.
I hope so. No, he is arguably the best player outside the box at scoring goals in the Premier League. Like, I mean, I was at the Leicester home game last year and he scored a goal with his left foot under the top corner. And I remember another goal away at Leicester about 3 or 4 years ago with his left foot outside the box. He's unbelievable with his left foot outside the box. He's such a good finisher. The second goal, as soon as it left his foot, you knew it was on the net. And funny enough, the third goal, he probably should put it in the corner, but it's typical Son. He's better when he I think last year, he outperformed his XG by 9 goals. He scores crazy goals, and then maybe one-on-one is not as clinical at times as maybe a Harry Kane. But you know what? He's the type of player you wish now we had a game next week because he's a streaky footballer. He can go on runs of scoring 5, 6, 7 now in the next 3 or 4 games, and then he might go missing for 3 or 4 games. But you know what? You accept that because he was the reason we got top 4 second half of the season. He scored so many goals. And for me, like he's a. I don't care how many. I've said this before. Any fans that were being hard on Sonny, it just shows you not to react after a few games because class is permanent, and he proved it tonight. Why he's such a world class footballer. I mean, and he's so likable as well. I mean, I had all our fans texting me when he scored his first goal and said they were delighted for him, and you seen how emotional he was. Because no doubt he's heard, he's on social media. No doubt he's heard probably from that some fans have been on his back. Some fans have been looking for Richarlison to play. So I think it was a massive moment for Son. And I think that's why his first goal, he just sort of stood there, didn't he? He didn't really go and celebrate with the fans. He just sort of stood there. And I think he seen his face was emotional. But I think it's just a wake-up call to the Spurs fans that we're so lucky to have a player like Son. And we've got and I thought again, and it probably took some of the gloss off Harry Kane because I thought Harry Kane was outstanding again. Thought he was brilliant. Best player in the pitch up until Sonny get the hat-trick. His passing, his hold-up play. I mean, if he were to lose them two or anyone, even one of them two, like he'd be in big baller. So we just need to appreciate them whilst they're here because you know what? They're 29 and 30. They're not going to be here forever and ever. So we got to enjoy it now while it lasts.
Rich, let's come to you. After Heung-min Son got his second goal in the 84th minute, just a minute later, he had a chance to score the hat-trick, and he dragged it. It was probably the easiest one of the lot, and he dragged it. But then a minute later, of course, he got the hat-trick. We all thought it was the hat-trick, and then it seemed to be disallowed, and then it went to VAR, and then he was given the goal. and Spurs won 6-2. Just a word on Heung-min Son, and do you think that he would have scored a hat trick if he had started that game today?
In that system, no, I don't think so. I think he would have been pushed out maybe too wide. I like him in that system with him and Harry up front. I think, like we were saying before, Harry and Sonny have got that kind of telepathy when they're up front together, especially Harry dropping off and then Sonny kind of feeding it through to Harry. I think Sonny's now got his mojo back, and the game today was really important. I think it was very clever, Conte bringing him off the bench. I think maybe Conte might go back to that two up top against the Gunners. I've got a funny feeling that the midfield is going to be really important for us. And Sonny,
we've got to play 3 in midfield against Arsenal. I don't think we can afford to play with 2.
Yeah, and I think having obviously those 3 in midfield will give us that kind of great platform to break. Obviously, like you saw that second half today, Sonny could have had 4 or 5, and he's going to get chances obviously against Arsenal, and he's going to take them now because he knows where the back of the net is. As we know, the strikers feed off that confidence, and the hardest thing in the game is obviously putting it in the back of the net. So Sonny's just kind of got that off his back now. You could see that first goal, like you were saying. I think that was the weight of expectation by the crowd and himself, the pressure, and he didn't really celebrate because it was like, I've done it, and now I move on. And that's what he did. It literally after that, he hit it, and it was such a great hit in the top corner, and then he went, right, the old Son is back, let's go. And then, like I say, he ran that game, man of the match, 30 minutes. Happy days.
How do you think he would have felt though, Rich, to be on the bench today, Sonny?
Yeah, I think you get that fire in your belly though, don't you? As a professional athlete, you kind of sometimes you've got that adversity to overcome. You need to understand that professional athletes are people. They're emotionally going to say, actually, why am I not starting? And then that adds pressure to the whole kind of environment. And then when you get your number kind of called out to go onto the pitch, that's then the opportunity. So even though the manager's kept you out of the starting lineup, he's giving you that opportunity to change the game. And that's what he is a game changer, world-class finisher. Like Gareth says, like Sonny and probably De Bruyne are the best finishers from outside the box. They hit the ball true. Like you would say, when Sonny's got that ball at his feet, especially that second goal that he hit, I've seen him hit those so many times before, kind of an out to an in the bottom corner, in the top corner, beautiful finish. It's no surprise now because he does it all the time. And that's why he's so important to the team.
Leicester must be sick of Harry and Sonny. Absolutely.
You're right. Yeah.
2 goals.
Just want to get all of your man of the matches. Gareth, who would you give it to?
I think you have to give this on, but for me, for 60, 70 minutes, Harry, and we were talking about the formation going forward, Arsenal game moving forward. I think playing 3 in midfield will free Harry up, because if there's 3 in midfield, Arsenal or any other team has to pick up our 3 midfielders. It allows Harry to drop off, be a spare man, maybe drag a defender out, leave space for Son and behind. I think the problem is when Harry's dropping deep, when we're playing 2 in midfield, they've got a spare man. They can pick up Harry. He gets blocked off. So I think, and you have to remember, Inter Milan with Conte, they won the league playing 3-5-2. It was Lukaku and Lautaro Martinez up front. So it's a formation that he's done before. So it's maybe surprising we haven't seen it as much. But I think the problem is he's got so many talented wide players at Spurs. He's probably trying to fit them in the system, but it's difficult. Richarlison and Kulusevski haven't done much wrong this season. But for me, if he's going to stick with a back 3, I think you have to play Kane and Son going forward.
Yeah. Dan, who would you give a man of the match to?
Well, the first half, no one. At the start of the second half, I probably would have gone with Harry Kane if I'm honest with you. Even though I thought Bentancur had a really good game, and then I think Son just come on and stole the show, didn't he? I mean, for a hat trick in 20 minutes or whatever it was. was unbelievable. So you're going to have to give it to Sonny, aren't you? Just the way he played. But again, I think Hugo had a really good game. I think he looks solid, looks confident. Romero, when he come on, he was calm. But for me, it definitely has to be Sonny.
What about you, Rich?
Yeah, it would have probably gone to Hugo if you'd have saved the penalty. But because obviously that kept us really in the game at that point. But obviously they then scored. But he pulled some great saves out of the bag at key moments in the game. But Sonny came off the bench and obviously transformed not only the game but also the atmosphere for the fans as well. I think when he came on, it was that kind of uplift that the stadium clearly needed, because at that point we were kind of, what's going to happen? Are Leicester going to score again and make it 3-3? Where we need somebody to come off the bench and actually really dominate the game and take the actual game by its horns. Sonny definitely did that. So yeah, Sonny for me.
It's very hard to give a man of the match to somebody else, when Heung-min Son has scored a hat-trick. So for me, it's got to be Heung-min Son. And I'm just absolutely delighted for him. Another golden boot for Heung-min Son after this hat-trick? What do you reckon?
Write him off at your peril. Write him off at your peril, because he's capable of scoring. He could be 6 goals down with 4 games to go, and he could hit 8 because he's so streaky. Like he doesn't really. He can go on runs and then he can go quiet and then go on runs. So
yeah,
I'm just gutted. I wish we were playing Arsenal. I wish we were playing Arsenal next week.
Same. We sort of don't want the international break, do we? Because we're on this fire ready to go. He's on form. We've got an international break. Anything could happen. And then we've got to reset and start again with Arsenal, which is annoying.
Yeah. Dan, let's talk about the international break. And then we'll finish with the Arsenal preview. International break now for a couple of weeks. And then, of course, we return to Premier League action on Saturday, the 1st of October at the Emirates Stadium against our North London rivals. England have got 2 games in the next couple of weeks, 2 games in the Nations League away at Italy on Friday, the 23rd of September, and then at home against Germany on Monday, the 26th of September. And then, of course, England play their first World Cup game on the 21st of November. That's not that far away now. Eric Dyer has just been called up to the England squad. Skip, Sessegnon and Spence have all been called up by the England under-21s as well. Dan, are you surprised by the Eric Dyer call-up? And do you think that he will be on the plane to Qatar?
Chris, like I said to you, I think I said earlier, a year and a half ago, he was on my list to get out of Tottenham. And probably the most improved player under Conte, actually, that was left from the squad. For me, he is the best English centre-back we have. I think in the league at the moment. Let's be honest, he's better than Maguire, he's better than Cody, better than Mings. I think he's solid, he's doing well, he's keeping his head. So I think yes, why not? Why not? He's playing well when he's in our team. Like I said earlier, him and Romero are something else together. Something else. When you haven't got them in the team, we struggle, as we see with Sanchez coming in today. So I think with a good partnership, he should definitely be on the plane.
Gareth, did you expect Dyer to be called up?
Definitely, because I think, wasn't it the last squad? Was it the Euros? It was left out.
Yeah.
So it said it was the most difficult decision he had in the squad, because he's such a great guy to have around the changing room, and he's been, regardless of his performance for Spurs, I think he was pretty good for England. In a way, Harry Maguire is probably still in the England squad because he's not been performing well, but he's never let England down. So no, he was always a player Southgate liked. So I wasn't surprised they called up. I think the only surprise was it took this long, because he's been playing pretty well for the last 7-8 months. But no, I think he'll definitely stay in the squad now, and I'd be shocked if he wasn't playing them in the middle of the back three, because I think Southgate will play with a back three, and who else would you play in the middle of a back three than someone that's playing on it week in, week out? So I'd be shocked. I think he'll probably play Kyle Walker, right wing back, and I think he'll play Dyer in the middle and possibly Maguire, because he likes Maguire. I think he might play Maguire left centre back. So,
will you be supporting England in the World Cup, Gareth?
Definitely not. No. Do you mind the last time I was on? At Top G's, they won the Euros and he's got to the final. So, I think this time though it's do or die for Southgate. I don't think he'll get away with this time. I think he has to. He has to win, because the expectation's so high. I mean, I think if England were to get to an hour final and lose, not so much that it will be a failure. I just don't think he would survive it because they've been the two semi-final and two finals and lost both. Like, but I think in terms of England, they need a more progressive manager. He plays too many defensive players for me. When I watch England, they don't play the football. The players have they can provide so much more. So it'll be interesting to see what way he goes. But he seems to pick the same team quite regularly, doesn't he? He plays with Rice and Phillips in midfield, and he plays with a back five, and sometimes Kane is isolated up front. So it's be interesting. But England won't be far away. Definitely won't be far away. But they say I'll be supporting them. Definitely not.
Rich, what have you made of Eric Dyer's season? Would you go along with the other guys and say he's the most improved player under Antonio Conte?
Yeah, I think so. I agree with the guys before. I think it's evident that Conte's got a lot of confidence with Dyer controlling the back three. He's what can I say? I think as a person, he's got influence on the team as well as a player has improved, but also he's got more clarity of his position because obviously in past managers who play in that defensive midfield role or he play as a left back, as a centre back, and I think now he's got Conte saying, look, no, you're playing in this position and you're kind of in that spine that's really going to hold up the back three. And for me, it's really improved the way he communicates the game as well. You can see he's actually communicating through the actual the midfield, and he's looking for that kind of Toby Alderweireld kind of passes that kind of do split the defence, and especially when you got somebody like Sonny, you're able to do that. Definitely improved. I think there's still some areas where he needs to be more consistent. And obviously getting more goals is one of that, and he's started to do that this season.
I think he looks fitter as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does look fitter, sure.
I mean, I can't really talk, I'm quite chubby, but he used to look a bit chunky, didn't he, back in the day? And when he was playing CDM, he looked lost, and now he's finally found that position, as you just said, and he feels like he's at home. He's lost some timber, he looks fit, and he looks like, and he deserves to be in that England team. I'll be honest with you, I don't really follow England, Chris. I'm really sorry. I'm more of a club man, which sounds terrible, doesn't it? But they just disappoint me all the time, and you know, disappointed all the years through Tottenham, let alone watching England. So I'll be honest with you, I will watch them and support them, but I'm more of a Tottenham man.
Well, I tell you, Dan, last summer when I went to Wembley against Italy in that final, I thought finally I'm going to see a trophy. Finally, I'm going to see England win a trophy, and it just seemed whenever Spurs and England get that close, it's like it doesn't happen. So I just want to see success. So, you know, obviously wishing England all of the very best in Qatar, but I think it's going to be difficult to win that trophy. Of course it is.
It's not you, is it? It's not you.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Maybe don't go to the final.
Perhaps I should just stay at home.
Yeah, stay at home. Let Gary run your show.
England should never. Honestly, they should never lost that final. Gareth
I agree.
So defensive when they got that goal. He must be having nightmares about that final. Honestly.
Yeah. Dan, let's start with you to talk about the North London derby, which of course is our next Premier League game on the 1st of October. Many reports in the last couple of days are stating that it might be in doubt because of rail strikes, which would be an absolute nightmare, I feel, for Spurs and for Arsenal, because you know this game has to go ahead, in my opinion. If there's rail strikes, then get people walking or running there or drive. Just get this game going ahead. Dan,
they swim over, Chris? They swim over?
Sorry?
We'll have to swim over.
No, I don't do swimming. Dan, let's start with you. What have you made of Arsenal's season so far? And how are you feeling about going into this game?
Do you know what, Chris? I've been trying to get fit watching the Arteta show, you know, behind the scenes, the Arsenal documentary. It's quite interesting to watch, you know, his light bulb and all that stuff going on. I think, I'll be honest with you, I do think they're a bit hit and miss like us actually at times, you know, like saying that they start quite well and then they sometimes sort of fade off. I think Jesus was a good signing for them as what they needed. But 2 injuries and they're in trouble. And I'm hoping that one of them comes into the national break for them. And then I am quite worried about that game, though, Chris. I'll be honest with you. I'm going to sound really terrible here. I could probably see a draw and then us smashing them at the Lane, which I always love anyway. I could see us drawing with them at the Emirates just because the crowd, they'll be up for it. How do we come back from international break? If we play like we played in the first half today, we're in trouble. And if we have a second half, we've got a chance to come back as long as they don't park that big red bus in front of the goal. But I do think a draw is what we need there, and then a big win at Spurs.
You mentioned, let me just stay with you, Dan. You mentioned the Amazon documentary. I've actually watched the whole of the Arsenal Amazon documentary, which might surprise a few people, but I thought the Spurs edition was a lot better. I thought it was filmed a lot better, and I thought it was more in depth as well. But Arteta seems to have some weird and wonderful ways in the dressing room. Like you mentioned the light bulb moment there. But of course, last year under Nuno Espirito Santo, when they beat us, where we looked lost on the pitch, and I tell you what, I don't want to be going to the Emirates feeling like I did last season, because that was an absolute disaster. But they had the club photographer actually do the team talk on that day.
Do you know what though, Chris? Do you know what? I know it's nuts, but how much passion did that show from him?
I know.
And that's one thing that at that time in our club we lacked. We had no passion. No one was playing for our shirt. We looked terrible. And you was flicking back to Conte earlier, and you're talking about him being animated and Pep not. But that's one thing he demands now: passion and pride for that shirt. And if you watch him, he won't have it. And I would hate to be in that dressing room at half time if you've had a bad game. Because forget Ferguson throwing a boot at you, you're going to get something coming at you, aren't you? If you're not, he's an angry man, you can see it. And I love it. I think it's great.
You might get a light bulb. You might get a light bulb from it.
You won't be getting a light bulb from Conte, I tell you. I don't know what you get from him, but that documentary, it was the Arteta show. I have to agree with you, Chris. Like the Spurs one was more in depth, even though Jose had come in. It was more about the players, Danny Rose, Ericsson dropping tools and going, and then Dele Alli being a rubbish trainer. And then it was more about seeing the insight of Spurs and the build, wasn't it? And the DNA trying to come through. But I didn't really see that from Arsenal.
Gareth, let's come to you. You're a coach now. Do you have these light bulb moments?
Hey, see, to be honest, Chris, there's no bad team talk if you won the game. Whatever you can do to make the team perform. It was inventive. I mean, you seen the "You'll Never Walk Alone" thing. I mean, I didn't really get that, because you can't put "You'll Never Walk Alone" on Spotify through speakers and create the same atmosphere of 60,000 fans at a stadium. I'm sorry, you just can't do it. Didn't get that. He's very passionate. I give him that. And like, if he was my manager, I would probably be happy, because he will leave everything on the pitch. He will do anything they want. Kind of like we see with Conte. Like, you can't doubt Conte's passion. Whereas our manager, we see with Nuno, there's no real fire there. There's no passion there. I enjoyed the documentary. I loved it because I'm a football fan. I love to see insights. It's my favorite football documentary I've watched with Sunderland today. I thought it was absolutely brilliant, because I don't know, maybe because it was Netflix, they seem to get more insight. You seem to see more inside of it. I mean, it was an absolute disaster for Sunderland. They were having a nightmare all the time, but I really enjoyed it. But getting back to Arsenal, form goes out the window in these games, Chris. As you said, the photographer did the team talk in the last game. So, I mean, me or you could walk on that Spurs change room, and if it went the result, we would do the team talk. We would do anything. So, it really goes out the window. The one thing I'd say about these games, it seems over the last few years, home teams seem to do well. They either win or draw. I can't remember the last time in away. I know Spurs beat them in the Cup a few years ago, but the last league away one, I think it might have been the time you beat them 3-2. For us, we were 3-0 down. And I think Arsenal was Rosicki. And I think that was an absolute banger. And Tom Sherwood was our manager. So, like, it's been a long time since we got an away one. Getting back with Dan saying, if Spurs go there and do well and get a draw, I don't think that's a bad result. No. If we go with the all-in big teams and get draws and win the home games, you're going to be a chance. So if we lost at Chelsea last year, we got a draw. We lost at West Ham away last year, got a draw so far. Go to Arsenal. Now we shouldn't go with a mindset. We should be trying to win. But if we come away with a draw, I'll not be disappointed, because, like Dan said, come January when we play them at home, I'll be very confident we'll beat them.
What is it about Arsenal away and Chelsea away? Because when you look at our stats in Premier League history, it is absolutely atrocious. Rich, what is it about these games? Because, we should be going to Stamford Bridge. We should be going to the Emirates Stadium and winning these games. What is it about these locations?
Yeah, maybe confidence, maybe just the actual the occasion gets the better of the players. I think we can't be playing like we did the first half today, or we could be 2 down at half time. We need to set out a stall to be, if we're going to play counter-attacking, that we are solid, that we, when we've got possession, we utilise possession to actually be positive and then hit them on the break. We have got the tools to be able to beat Arsenal. I would take a draw for sure. We need to go there to try and win the game and start to change the tide. Arsenal can be beaten. I think they've gone on a great, obviously, run. They've showed some frailties around when they are pressurised that they can lose. And we've got the tools to be able to do that. But we just need to be more solid and utilise possession better.
Can we just talk a little bit about who we think will start against Arsenal? Is it a silly question to say, will Heung-min Son be in the starting 11? Rich, let's start with you.
Yeah, start. Yeah, for sure. I think he'll go back to... he still might play Kulo, but he might play him as a right wing-back, maybe. But I think he played 2 up front. I just, that midfield, I think he might kind of go to that 5 across the midfield and kind of really kind of pack that, make it really tight, get those wing backs really pushing up front, and Perisic on the other side.
I think this comment here from Jonesy, Richarlison perfect for the North London derby. Couldn't agree more. Dan, who do you expect to see in the starting 11 for the Emirates game?
Well, I hope Sanchez is dropped and Romero comes back in. I think that's a no-brainer. I'd like to see Perisic start at right back, actually. I think he's done quite well. Keep Sessi on that left back, and then obviously Dyer. This is the difficult one. I think you can't drop Sonny. You cannot now. After a hat-trick, how can you do that? You've got to play him, and then Richarlison comes on for Kulusevski probably about the 60th minute as an impact player to menace up. The only problem that worries me, that's a prime time for Richarlison to get a red card, that sort of a game, and whether he can hold his emotion, because he's hot-fueled. I remember he's playing against Everton against Liverpool, and I do worry a little bit, so I'd probably bring him on, probably for Kulusevski in probably the 60th minute.
Gareth, what about you with the team selection?
I think we'll see a formation change. I think he'll play 3-5-2. I think Perisic's almost out because I think he'll go with Sessegnon because he's more defensive. Because Saka can cause you problems. And I think Sessegnon, Perisic, I think he'll play Sessegnon left wing back for his pace, and he can go man on man with Saka. I think Emerson will come back in as well and play a right wing back because again he'd be worried about Martinelli. So I think you'll see Romero come back on his foot. So I think you'll see them 5 across the back. He'll play the 3 in the middle, and he'll play Kane and Son up top. I think he will. And you'll see Kane dropping off. And it's funny, Chris, because Arsenal are I think they're very much a first half team. They come out of the blocks really quick and then they die because they put so much into the first half. And funny enough, I think we at times were playing with a handbrake on first half and then we come out second half. So I think it's 2 completely different styles. First goal is crucial. You seen what in that London derby back in May when we smashed them 3-0. In case anyone forgets, but it was quite an even game. And then we got the goal and Arsenal never recovered. And funny enough, I know they beat Fulham a few weeks ago, but I think that was the first time they come back from behind for like in 50 games. They don't recover well when they concede the first goal. So if we can get that first goal, I'll be pretty confident we can at minimum get a draw. So it'll be interesting, but I think we're going to see a similar Arsenal will probably come out really, really fast, and we have to get through that first 15, 20 minutes, get to half time, and then absolutely hit on the break second half, and hopefully it works. Like so, if we won that, Chris. God help us. We're gonna be dreaming big. We're gonna be dreaming big for sure.
Well, of course, they're in action tomorrow in the Premier League against Brentford, and this is the Premier League table. Spurs currently second, as I mentioned earlier. Now played 7, won 5, drawn 2, lost 0. Goal difference plus 11 with 17 points. Arsenal could actually go into second place with a win at Brentford on Sunday. And that, well, it's going to be an interesting tie anyway, isn't it? The Arsenal v Spurs game in a couple of weeks' time. I'm actually going to go for a 2-1 Spurs win, and I might change my mind on the day of the game because, of course, as you alluded to, Gareth, form goes out the window. It's a North London derby. It's a very difficult game. Our record at the Emirates Stadium is quite poor, or very poor, certainly in Premier League history. But I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. I'm feeling confident. Gareth, what's your score prediction?
Tell you what, I'm absolutely raging. I'll probably miss the game because it's such a strange kickoff time, 12:30 on a Saturday. I can't believe it's so early. I'll probably be on my own match. So I'll probably have to watch the game back. But just on, I'll do my score prediction now. But just on tomorrow, that's a tough game for Arsenal. Brentford away is going to be tough. Ivan Toney is absolutely rapid at that. He's just been called on the England squad. I don't think that's a cert they won that game tomorrow. That'll be so tight. It'll be a great game to watch. But the Arsenal game, I think it's going to be so tight, Chris. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
1-1. Rich, what are you going for?
Oh, can I see a win? I'd like to see us nick it. Maybe
we don't want to nick it. We want to batter them, Rich.
But honestly, you can see all three outcomes. You could see Spurs beating them. You could see Spurs losing. You could see if we can get a 90 minute Spurs, well, we can definitely beat them.
Yeah, we've not had it all season, have we? It's like consistency. We talked about consistency.
Fulham was the only game, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then we didn't have the full 90 minutes.
80, but that's a start. That's a start.
Yeah, 2-2.
2-2.
Yeah.
What about you, Dan?
My heart says 3-1, but I think 2-2. That's what I think it'll be a draw, and then we're taking back to the lane and smash them, and I'll be happy.
You've all sat on the fence.
Sorry, Chris.
You've made me to give my 2-1, and now you've all sat on the
fence. Sorry, Chris.
Well, Richard knows this question's coming. Gareth, where do you think Spurs will finish at the end of the season?
Oh God, you know me, Chris. I'm very honest. Me being a football coach, I have to be honest. I think we'll definitely finish top 4. Champions League, I think we'll definitely get out of the group, and then after that, it's a lottery. The Champions League's a lottery. Honestly, the best team. I always think the best team never wins the Champions League. Real Madrid were not the best team in that competition last year, and they won it. So sometimes it comes down to luck. But I think we'll finish top 4. I think our best chance at a trophy will definitely be in League Cup or FA Cup. But again, you need a bit of luck with a draw. Need a bit of luck.
Gary's been drinking again.
You're going top 4, Gareth. Rich, do you want to answer this question again?
No.
You must be sick of you must be sick of me asking this question.
Yeah, I think I should give you the same answer every time. I've said 3rd, haven't I? So I've said 3rd every time, and that's. I'll probably stick with that at the moment. I see Man City winning it, and then us 3rd, and then 2nd might be.
Don't get me wrong. I think second, 3rd, 4th, 5th is going to be serious tight. 5 or 6 points on it. I think Man City will want to run away with it. I think we could finish 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th. Yeah. But I think we'll definitely get on there.
In this context, though, Gareth, you can't say all of those.
Oh no, I know.
I've had this conversation so many times. You just have to say 3rd and just back your decision.
I don't think we're seasons before. I don't think Liverpool are the same team they were.
No,
I think it's just one superpower now. I think Man City will be way ahead of the rest.
Yeah. Dan, what about you?
Chris, I think, you know what, I said 3rd in the FA Cup, that's what I keep saying to myself, but Liverpool had a shaky start to the season, and I don't think, I say to my Liverpool friends when they won the league, you guys need to sign 2 players a transfer window to keep up with Man City, and they haven't. So I reckon we can nick 2nd if we really try. We've got a good squad. If a couple more signings coming in January, I feel personally, this is crazy, some people think I'm nuts, we're 5 signings off probably winning that league if we really wanted to. You know, 5 signings, some squad players, 1 world-class player to bring some confidence into that team of winning that league. We've got everything there. We've got a top manager. We've got a good stadium, a great youth system coming through as well, as we've seen a little bit, Chris, sometimes. And I just think that actually we could really get it going. This is the time. And I listen to people like Leo on here who are very, very positive and just say, and Gary, and they want to be saying, this is the time. Well, this is the time to start celebrating as a family. Because I remember when we had Christian Gross and George Graham and shocking players that I'm not going to name because some of them come on your show. But, you know, like that, you know, I used to think, I remember when I was younger, Liverpool signed Stan Collymore, we got Chris Armstrong, and I was like, oh, that's great. And it was terrible, really, wasn't it? Let's be honest. And now we're looking at Harry Kane, 2 of the best strikers in the Premier League together, world class. Why not say the sky's the limit? So I'm going to say 2nd. Let's go for it. Beat around the bush a little bit. I'm going to go 2nd. I think if we have a good January transfer window and another good summer, I think we could push for that league title next season. Can I close the show on a question about Antonio Conte?
He's contracted at Spurs until the end of this season with an option to extend with another year. Gareth, do you see Antonio Conte at Spurs next season?
I think it depends on
the reason why I asked this question is because I was in the pub before the game and I asked this question to about 10 people, and about 8 went with one answer and 2 went with another answer. 8 out of the 10 who I asked don't think that Conte will be here next season.
Chris, see, to be honest, contracts mean absolutely nothing in football.
Yeah.
We've seen last week with Graham Potter, he was paid already a 21 million contract. Brendan Rodgers has got, I think it'll be 26 million to sack him, which I think will probably happen within the next 2 weeks, or if not, very soon, because the cost of relegation will be far more money than what Rodgers, the cost to pay him out. So regardless of having 1 year left or 5 years left, Conte will go. Conte will walk away. Conte's walked away from contracts before because he hasn't been backed by the board. So Conte will stay if he feels that it's a right job for him. Because if Conte was to leave tomorrow, he would get another job because of his reputation. So I think if he's happy at Spurs and he thinks he's being backed, he'll stay. Because he said before that, I think he's been asked before about why he only stays so many years at clubs, and he says he hasn't found the right chairman yet. And I think Daniel Levy's had his, he's not everyone's favorite person, especially some managers. So, if he gives Conte what he wants, I have no doubt he'll be here. I think it'll depend on how we do this season and what he's being promised next season they will, because Conte's not here to finish top 4. Conte's here to win trophies. Conte's here to win the league. So if he doesn't feel that's going to be possible at Spurs, he'll not be here. One way they are, he'll be sacked or he'll walk away.
I'll tell you what, Rich, I would feel absolutely delighted as a Spurs fan to hear those words. Antonio Conte has signed a contract at Spurs, keeping him here until 2025, 2026, sometime in the future. Because for me, he has been a magician at this club. He's transformed the club. We were playing Europa Conference League football last season. We're now playing Champions League. To hear that Champions League music again is absolutely unbelievable. What would it mean to you as a Spurs fan for Conte to sign a new contract?
Yeah, he's the main guy at the club, the person that makes the team tick. He picks the team. Then you've got your conductor on the pitch, the Harry Kane, that makes the plays, that is the kind of transformative kind of character on the pitch. But Conte's really important. It's like without somebody like him, with the kind of enthusiasm, with the passion, with the desire, with the connection to the fans, like it's the connection that's really important. Clearly, you go to the stadium, you kind of hear the fans kind of really wanting the manager to be successful. How many times has that not been the case? And I think Antonio Conte, the challenges and obstacles that he comes up against, like the Tuchel situation, like he didn't back down there, did he? He didn't back down from that, and that's what's important. That yes, he has his heart on his sleeve, but we want him to do that. We want him to like smash the players when they're playing shit. We want him to pull people off when they need to, but we also want him to celebrate with the fans as well. He will be. He'll be here next season for sure. I think what he's saying in the media, but he wants to see progress. He wants to see progress in the team. He wants to be backed. I think he's saying these 2 or 3 windows to have the team that he needs. But I think January, if the player's available, he wants to get him. And the same with the summer. But there's specific players that he's obviously targeted now. And I think that's where he's seeing maybe, like you're saying, Dan, maybe the 4 or 5 positions that he needs to strengthen, and he's going to go after them. And then when he's got all these pieces, we'll see the real Tottenham. But we overachieved last season, and this season, I think we're going to start to see the true Spurs when we move out of this second gear.
Dan, do you think Conte will be given the time to get Spurs over the line and win a trophy?
Chris, I think he has to be. Everything's about relationship, and Conte has a relationship with the fans. He has a relationship with the players. He obviously has an okay relationship with Daniel Levy, and he's got that buffer in between of the sporting director as well. I just think if you get rid of him or he leaves, who the hell do you bring in? And I see people on Twitter, and listen, I love Poch, I loved Harry Redknapp, I loved Terry Venables, I loved Poch, I had a great relationship, but this guy's different class. Look at what he's doing. He's turned average players like Dyer, let's be honest, into good players. In some extent, great players if they make the England squad, you know, and start in the World Cup. I just think that for me, I don't see what you could do. You need to back this guy. And it's not about one man, but his team. I watch the training sessions on YouTube. They're intense. The players are smiling. They're happy. They're enjoying themselves. They look fitter than they've ever been. They've got muscles that I've never seen before in some areas. You know? And it's true, though. You watch them in pre-season, you look at their arms. I mean, Harry Kane looks quite bulked up and others, you know. And I just think to myself, you know, Rich, you know this about relationships. It's about the relationship with the players. And he's got it. So why, Daniel Levy, why would you even stop and think of another manager? I mean, when Poch left PSG, everyone was going to bring Poch back. Why? You know, you've got something great going here. There's a massive journey. The only thing that worries me, Chris, is the nurture of the younger players. Spence, Sessegnon a little bit. Some of them under 23s that we see, you know. Is he going to be able to nurture them and bring them through correctly? And I think that's something that he misses. I think he's for the here and now, not for the future.
Yeah, interesting times coming up. Yeah. Well, Gareth, Dan and Richard, thanks so much for joining me this evening. Gareth, thanks so much, and tell everyone where they can find you on social media and what you're up to at the moment.
You can follow me at Gareth Hotspurs. I'm a coach for an Irish League team. Well, they're actually an academy Irish League team in Northern Ireland, so under 14. So love my football, of course. You'll probably get so many different views. Might not always agree with them, but I try to be as honest as I can. Even some Spurs fans don't like to hear the truth sometimes, but you have to speak the truth. But no, honestly, loving the football. Great to have it back. I'll be absolutely gutted now. We've got an international break over the next couple of weeks because international football, especially, don't mind the Euros and the World Cup, but these friendlies and these Nations League games are depression zone. And especially when you've got the North London Derby to look forward to.
Well, let me know your address, Gareth, because we'll put an England shirt and an England scarf in the post for you for November. Richard, thanks so much for joining us again this evening.
Yeah, cheers, mate. As always, yeah, you guys know where to grab me, Marathon Champ on Twitter. And just to answer some of your viewers' questions, I'm drinking water tonight because I've got 16 miles to run tomorrow in preparation for London Marathon. I bet you're not training tomorrow, are you, Chris?
I'll be doing a little bit of training tomorrow. We've got the marathon on the 2nd of October. So what a huge weekend it is for Richard and I. On the 1st of October, the North London Derby. On the 2nd of October, it is the London Marathon. So yeah, but you're always running, Rich. You're
yeah. I did Great North Run last weekend. Robin Hood next weekend. And yeah, just running for the right reasons. I'm not running away from people. I'm running to somewhere. So hydrate, remember, hydrate. And also, last time I was on, I think Gary was on last time, and I'd had about 4 or 5 beers, and I was nearly falling asleep.
I absolutely love that comment. I love the comment.
Gary's not that boring, man. What's up with you, Gary? Keep your.
I love the comment for this. Thanks, Chris, Gareth, Dan, and Doherty. Great show there. The next comment. Lineup cannot get trophy. Chris, you're very, very good, but you can't promise us a trophy.
No, I wish I could. Dan, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show for the very first time. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Can I just shout my boy Maddox? He scored an absolute worldie today. Sonny goal, first game for Stockfold. My beautiful daughter Aurora. Thank everyone, because a lot of people on this stream supported us through quite a hard time this year with my little daughter, and I just want to say thank you. Please have a look at my YouTube channel, Dan Gay Support Services. It's my life story about growing up, going to prison, and then coming out and changing my life, becoming assistant head of a school, and now running my own business, helping young people and supporting them through some of their tough journeys that they have. So please have a look at that and have a share. It's been an honour to be on. Thank you. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I come in the house, so we're okay. And my son appeared a few times on the camera, as you probably see. But thanks, Chris. It's great to be on here. I've always watched this show. I love it. And thank you both, Gareth and Richard. Great chats.
Brilliant.
Well, Gareth, Dan and Richard, thanks so much. And thank you to all of the viewers and listeners this evening. And as I said earlier, if you don't subscribe to the YouTube channel as yet, please do hit that subscribe button. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Enjoy the international break. Let's hope that England can get a couple of wins, whether Gareth wants England to win or not. And of course, in a couple of weeks' time, it is the big one, the North London derby, Arsenal v Spurs. Everyone will have everything crossed for that weekend and that game, a huge one coming up. Enjoy the international break, as I say, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, Spurs.